Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it! So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason. Welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, and with me today is my brother Jason. How's it going today?
I'm doing good, thanks, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm alive and well. I'm alive and well. Unlike the 10 people we'll talk about today.
That's true.
Or are they too alive and or well? So today is another, I guess, conspiracy episode. I enjoy doing these in general, and I enjoy doing them with Jason, of course. We've got a few conspiracy episodes on this podcast feed, so if you enjoy conspiracies, enjoy our take on conspiracy theories and what we do with them, check out our other episodes. We've done stuff like Antarctica. Check them out. Now, this episode is about famous people who have died, officially, but because they were famous and because maybe we don't want to see them go, there are some conspiracy theories out there where people have said maybe they didn't die when they died, and they even might still be alive. I didn't know how to title this episode, so I might just say 10 conspiracy theories or conspiracy theories about 10 famous people or dead famous people, because I think it's more than that they just might be alive. I think that's almost irrelevant. I think it's more what happened or how they quote-unquote died is actually more of the conspiracy, if that makes sense. It's not quite the whole story.
Yeah, where there are vague pieces of information regarding their death or multiple options of how they died or how the death could have occurred, you start clouding the reality of what actually happened, which gives people the ability to create alternate conclusions.
And we should note that one name is oddly off this list, Jason. Paul McCartney.
There's many people that could be on this list, and
I
think Paul McCartney. Okay. Yes, I kind of had wished he was on this list, but that's for another show, right?
Yeah. All right, Jason. So you're gonna start us off on this.
Yes, Michael Jackson. Starting off at number 10 is the King of Pop. So he passed away in 2009 from a cardiac arrest. Despite there being a very public investigation to his death, some people believe that he's still alive. Even his family and fans that believe he is dead think that his death is shrouded in mystery. Here are some of the most prevalent theories. Michael Jackson faked his own death to escape the public eye. He faked his death to get out of debt and boost his sales. Faked his death so he could live the life of a normal person. He didn't fake his own death. Instead, he was murdered, and the investigation was a cover-up. Michael Jackson had to fake his death to avoid more child sexual abuse allegations. Where's the proof, or what's the proof in these conspiracy theories? Like any conspiracy, the proof is what you make of it. In this case, there are poor quality pictures where he's been seen, air quotes, seen in the background at family events. Jackson's stylist also made a series of cryptic texts, and some fans even think Michael Jackson looks too similar to one of his friends. Even with his family's insistence that he was murdered, it all boils down to a he said and she said situation, with them claiming that he didn't sign his own will and wanted his executors removed from it. There's a few things around his death. I mean, he was a private individual to begin with, so there's no surprise that his life in his death is going to be mysterious. There's going to be just enough information to suggest that he died, and he died of a cardiac arrest. I mean, around multiple uses of medication.
If you're new to our show, let me just say that what we do is we'll go through a list of things, and these are, top celebrities who are dead. So that's the best of. These are the best of the dead celebrities that are out there that have a mystery behind their death. Is probably the easiest way to say it. And Jason and I are going to pick at the end of the episode what we feel is the one that's least likely true. So the worst one. So we'll pick which one we think is the least likely. Does that make sense? Would that be a good one? The one that we think is which one died according to the headline the best.
Yeah, which one sounds more For sure, this person didn't fake their death.
Yeah. Okay. So with Michael Jackson, I know he's dead, but how he died is just a mess. Like, he had this doctor by his bedside, and they had IVs hooked up to the bed, and he was like messed up on a whole bunch of different medications. And I don't know, was it an assisted suicide? That's the question. That's what I'm leaning towards, because I think some of the reasons why he isn't around anymore with this, the child sex abuse allegations were heating up. But he was also getting ready for his 50th birthday, I believe it was, that tour.
Right.
Do you think it was just by accident? Was it murder? Was it just too many different medications screwing up with his fragile system?
Yeah, I think he was just physically weak. The doctor screwed up. I think he overdosed Michael Jackson trying to help him get to sleep.
So like a kind of like a medical, what do you call it, cocktail of medication?
Yeah.
I lean towards that as well, because he was getting ready for his 50th tour. There's footage of that. Like, it was a big deal. I think it was.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. He seemed like he was pretty
into it,
committed to it, and into it. Medical malpractice.
I think medical malpractice.
Stupidity, not practice. It was just stupidity.
The guy's not a real doctor. I don't know what he was. It's one of those weird celebrity, like when you're rich and powerful, you kind of have your own doctor who could just basically give you a green light of whatever kind of medication you want. I think Michael was his own doctor. I think that's what he was sued for. It's like, why are you giving him the medication?
Oh, he's in jail.
Oh, he is? Okay.
I'm pretty sure he went to jail. I find the whole thing quite sad.
I agree. It's more sad than mysterious.
Like his life, his death is private, as much as they could keep it private. I mean, there was a court case and all the rest and whatnot. And the family has a right to say he was murdered. I don't think there was a cover-up, but he was murdered by a doctor, maybe accidentally murdered, but the doctor killed him.
Medical malpractice. Yeah, I think we're both agreement there that this is an unfortunate event of medical malpractice. Michael was on the up and up. He was excited about doing that 50th birthday tour or whatever in London. Okay, number 9 is kind of connection to Michael. Didn't Princess Diana and Michael have some, like, I want to say relationship, but they hung out and they...
But they were on friendly terms. They were friends in life.
Yeah. So as you know, Princess Diana died. Well, the report is that she died in a car accident in 1997. I remember where I was actually, Jay. I was actually getting off the ferry. So it was 1997. So yeah, I was getting off the ferry and the person picking me up, so I can't remember who it was, but the person, this is before, of course, smartphones and what have you, right?
Yeah.
And the person picking me up was like, did you hear? Princess Diana's dead. I'm like, what? Anyway, so yeah, she was killed in a car accident. She was she was being chased by paparazzi was the story. So her driver was trying to get away from the paparazzi and they went into the tunnels and they slammed into some sort of meridian, I believe. Apparently her driver was drunk. Very, very odd. The prevailing theory is that she staged her death to escape the public media surrounding her life, and she's currently living on a small island with her Egyptian husband. So some of the proof that proves this, as they say, makes this mysterious, is the majority of the proof is actually obviously just hearsay. But it does stem from a little bit of truth regarding Prince Charles. Now, this is really weird. So Diana herself expressed concern about her own safety and had spoken about her fears that Prince Charles was planning something sinister shortly before her death. Princess Di, she wrote a letter that, quote, "My husband is planning an accident in my car where the brakes will fail and I'll have a serious head injury."
I did not know that.
This is a letter 10 months before she died. Oh, she wrote it to her butler, Paul Burrell. This one is crazy because I think she's dead. Yes. I think she was killed. And there are rumors that the royal family killed her. And I don't know, man. How did she come up with this 10 months? She wrote this as physical proof. There is a letter that states this. So what are your thoughts on that, Jay? Now you've heard this for the first time. There is a letter, and this is true. This is verified.
There's other things. All the cameras in the tunnel didn't work. Like, how come it's always like, the cameras aren't working? They work all the time. 24/7 they work. And then you get a famous person that gets killed or dies in a car accident. Yeah, something happened in that tunnel.
Why does she care about the paparazzi? She's had a million photos taken of her.
It seems extreme to me. It seems like an extreme response to people taking pictures of her.
It's because that's the narrative. Escaping the paparazzi, and they were kind of the scapegoat, weren't they?
Her butler, the driver, could very well have been drunk. Mm-hmm. They weren't prepared to drive at that moment, and maybe they felt like there was a threat, so they wanted to get away. And it helped with the look or the cover-up of her death. Regardless of the reasonings behind why she would have wanted to leave public eye or whatever, This one seems very plausible. Not that she's alive, but that she was killed.
Yeah.
And you look at that car, like I'm looking at that picture of that car. There's no way that that's a fake car crash. That's crazy demolished.
Yeah, she died in the car accident. I believe she died in the car accident.
Yeah.
Absolutely, she's dead. But I don't believe the narrative as to how she died. I think there's something else going on here because it doesn't make sense that always like that night of all night she tells her driver, "Go, go, go, go fast, outrun those pop." Why was she like? Is she saying that in the car to her driver? Go fast, get away from the paparazzi. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did somebody survive the crash that could tell that narrative?
Don't know. I can't recall if the driver lived or not.
But there you go. That's the narrative. She was escaping paparazzi. I don't know. The fact that she wrote that letter 10 months before this incident, that's pretty uncanny.
I've looked into this one a little bit more heavily over the years, here and there. And there's a lot of other things going on. The fact that she may have been pregnant, there could have been some concerns that there was kind of a mix of royal blood with an Egyptian blood.
And she was just a bit of
She was definitely a renegade, a thorn in the side of the royal family. She would have known all, if you think of what we're dealing with now with Prince Andrew, could you imagine some of the things that she may have known about the royal family that they did not want her to reveal at a later time? Dude, I don't know. Interesting.
All right.
So, yeah, here we go. JFK Jr.'s death. This is an interesting one. Now, we can't really get into all the ins and outs of it, but it is interesting, and there's a lot of head-scratching scenarios that revolve around it. I'm not sure if you've looked into it at all.
Of all these things, why can't it just be... Why does it always have to be so complicated? Like, when I die, I think when I do die, okay, I just died of XYZ. Why is there such a mystery about all these celebrity death? Like, it's
because of the way the narrative comes out in the news. For whatever reason, these people like to hide facts, I think. It leaves room for additional information, for people to kind of connect dots or leave doubts as to the official narrative. JFK Jr., there are people who don't believe he died in 99 when his plane crashed, and they all believe that he's still alive and well. There are numerous theories about what really happened to JFK Jr., some believing that he was killed by the government or that he simply went into hiding. Whatever the real story is, almost none of the theories mention his wife or sister-in-law, both of whom were in the plane when it crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. So what's the proof? There is no actual proof that he's alive, but according to other reports, people believe that he is alive.
Wasn't it like some sort of rally where people thought JFK was actually, Jr. was going to reveal himself?
Yes. One of the conspiracies around him still being alive is there was a lot of push in this last election that I think part of the QAnon groups of people, they were suggesting that JFK Jr. was going to reveal himself at a Donald Trump rally and endorse Donald Trump.
So sorry, that's kind of funny.
So that was more recently. So maybe JFK Jr. himself wants to muddy the waters even more. But he did not come out of hiding.
Okay.
He did not endorse Donald Trump. But that was something more recent. For whatever reason, that became a thing. But there's actually some other interesting, which is hard to get into in this podcast where we're just kind of hitting key points. But the fact is that I heard a radio station interview with somebody phoned in a day or two after the accident who gave additional pieces of information that only JFK Jr. should have known about the flight path. And I'm kind of a little bit vague on those details, but I have heard the radio interview and it's kind of intriguing. There's some radio interviews, there's some missing pieces of information regarding his flight path and the weather, et cetera, that muddies the facts around his death.
No, I like it. All of these are just the headlines of these famous people, but it's enough if you want to go some wormhole diving. They're out there is what we're saying.
This one's a fun one. It's a fun one to look into.
Well, conspiracies in general are fun. I love them. I never sit there and say I subscribe to everything per se in the sense like, oh yeah, because it's a conspiracy theory, thus I believe it. I've been lied to by the government, so everything that's a conspiracy theory, I believe because I've been lied. No. I just find conspiracy theories in of themselves an interesting topic and discussion points. I like the idea that, hey, it's their fault, whoever these people are, whoever their handlers are. Like, why don't you just tell us what's going on? It's always interesting. Like, it's never cut and dry. That's what makes it a conspiracy.
Like I say, it's the narrative that comes out after their death that leaves room for doubt in some people's eyes. So, yeah.
For some people, it's because they don't want to let go, like Elvis Presley. Good old Elvis. He died, Jason, when I was 2 and you were 4. So he died well when we were young. So even when we were getting into music and what have you, and celebrities, people that are celebrities as we get, older, Elvis to us was already an icon of years gone by because he was dead before we could talk almost. And however, I say this because I remember people saying Elvis is alive when I was young. This was like an early conspiracy theory before I even knew what that term was, conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so actually what's funny is as you say that, I'm thinking to myself, I probably heard that he was alive
more than he was dead.
More often than I heard that he was dead. Yeah.
That was a fascinating, this is, well before the internet. I would say, though, if I was to guess, if we go back in time to, mid-'80s when you and I were starting to get into music and celebrities and stuff, I would say when we're hearing this narrative, it's just people unable to let go of his passing. There's a lot of Elvis impersonators out there and what have you. But however, again, with all of these topics, it's not so much that he's alive, that his death is complicated. It's oddly complicated. Apparently, his open casket, was that him in there? Apparently, he looked younger in the casket or thinner, didn't look like him, or also he was perspiring in the casket, which would indicate a wax figure. Yeah, because the moisture from the wax came through.
Or maybe he was alive in the casket.
It's just crazy stuff like that. His tombstone was spelled incorrectly.
Those sort of things make you scratch your head. I mean,
why is it so hard to spell his name? It's Elvis Presley. And so Aaron, apparently, I don't know which one it is, but Aaron can have 2 A's or 1. So his is different than his birth certificate, whichever the spelling is. His name is Elvis Aaron Presley, and they spelled Aaron wrong.
You would think that when you saw the tombstone and you have the type of finances that they would have had, they would just get it redone.
Yeah. Can you correct that, please? I would do that for my own family. I don't have a lot of money. If they spelled your name wrong, I'd be like, come on, guys, that's not his name. I would correct it.
Unless they want there to be mystery around his death.
Sure.
That's part of the marketing strategy moving forward. They want people to hold on to his legacy and his life. And I just noticed, too, that he died of a heart attack. And the King of Pop, the official death, is a heart attack.
There you go. King of Pop.
King of Pop and the King of Rock both died of heart attacks.
You know where Elvis died, right?
In his bathroom.
I think he was on the toilet.
Was the King of Rock on his throne?
Yes.
But apparently the toilet seat was down. I think he was just sitting on it. He may have been having a heart attack and then sat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think his pants were around his ankles. But again, open it up to more conspiracies.
But yeah, he died in the bathroom, yeah. So again, I believe Elvis died when he did. Why is his corpse sweating? Why is there moisture on his face? I don't know.
But is there a picture of a sweating corpse?
These are eyewitness accounts, but who knows?
Right.
But that's what makes the story fun. All right.
And maybe it was a wax figure. Maybe they didn't want to.
That's true. Yeah, they could just, it was, because you're right. They could have easily had a wax figure, meaning we don't really want to showcase the real dead body, but you can still pay your respects to the king. Yeah.
He wasn't looking great alive. He would look even worse dead. So let's put a wax, because they're to kind of protect the imagery of this huge star.
So I think for that one, the idea that he might still be alive afterwards, I think fans unwilling to let go. He was huge. I mean, he was a huge star. I mean,
yeah, he was huge.
He was huge. He got bigger as the years went on. Well, speaking of big music stars, we got another one here who was gone too soon, as they say.
Yeah, I'm less familiar with Tupac as a artist. I don't really listen to his music. I appreciate some of the stuff. I know a little bit of his story, so I can't really add a lot of additional insights per se, but definitely his death is mysterious. Mm-hmm. So he was killed in 96 in a drive-by shooting, and theories about what really happened to Tupac vary widely, and some believe that it was staged, that he staged his own death. Others think that his death was staged by the government. And both of these assume that he is living under a new identity. The real question is, why would one of the most influential rappers of all time fake his own death? American music executive Suge Knight, he doesn't know if he's dead. And Suge Knight says the rapper is living in Malaysia. And fans think that Tupac left clues about his death in his song lyrics and music videos. Again, Mystic, his own, kind of like Princess Diana writing a letter, Tupac through his lyrics and, the gangster lifestyle music.
I think that's what it is. Quite frankly, you're always on the brink of death.
So you're kind of almost always living on that edge anyways. And I think within the industry itself at the time, there was a lot of, I don't know if it was East Coast, West Coast battles between record labels or group of rappers. And these rappers were more connected with the streets than many of the rappers that we are familiar with today. It was music that was really coming out of their environments that they grew up in and reflected more of how they had lived and what they had experienced. I think more than what we see from artists today.
I think this is another thing, just like Elvis, gone too soon for the hip hop world.
Yeah.
Young artists, very popular. So I think in some way people, let's say they can't accept it because that's not fair. It makes them sound, but it's understandable. Like some people, so it's like we almost look for, oh, he can't be dead. This isn't right.
Yeah, there's a disbelief, disassociation with the reality of what has happened. You know, over the years, you hear tidbits of information about police involvement. And
did you see that one video of him walking around that made the internet waves, as they say?
No.
Yeah, just Google it if you're listening, obviously, to this episode.
Yeah.
Just Google Tupac sighting. It's actually pretty. It's a doppelganger. And we all have doppelgangers. I believe that. I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world. I don't think everyone is totally different looking. I think at some degree, there's only so many ways we can look different. There's a pretty striking video of somebody that looks like Tupac. But
what year was that video recorded, though?
It wasn't long ago.
Would it look like Tupac if he aged
I think
10
so.
years?
Yeah, it was
Really?
It's
Okay.
it's pretty convincing. Like even I looked at it like, oh wow, I don't know. I mean, obviously that just looks like a guy that looks like Tupac, but it's pretty fun little video to watch. So I'd recommend watching it.
Do you know off the top of your head? It doesn't say here. How old was he when he was?
I don't know how old he was. 96. Almost 30.
Man, that's a
years
long
old.
time ago already. Eh?
Yeah. So I would assume he's probably in his 20s. He couldn't be over 30 at that point.
Can you Google that? I'm just curious. I'm looking at him in this picture here, and he looks young.
I'm gonna guess he got shot at 26. There you go.
I'm gonna say 30.
What do you say?
Oh, I think.
Oh, I was close. 25.
Wow, he was young.
He was young. Yeah, he was born in 71.
So he's a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's too young. Yeah. Another car incident here, Jay, for number 5, Paul Walker. I wasn't very familiar with him as an actor per se. Of course, I knew him from The Fast and Furious and some other films. Never liked him, but didn't not like him. He's just one of those, he's an actor. I had no issues with him.
To be honest, if he didn't die in a car accident, I would not have known anything about him, really. I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies.
You don't have to. They're terrible. Yeah. But people think he might have faked his own death. The common theory is that Walker was working with the government to investigate a certain type of fuel, which I don't understand how that would work. So apparently he died in the accident, was all part of this plan. The biggest piece of evidence that his death is weird, at the very least, is his autopsy was placed on a security hold.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like top secret. Because often they'll say, even Michael Jackson, they said this is what was in his system, this is what the drugs that were in his system. Or I don't mind this, and I hate to say that I don't mind it, but I kind of like that, public findings of how people die is allowed, it's public. You're allowed to know how somebody died. I don't know why that is or how it is or respect the privacy of whatever. But the reality is, you look at any celebrity's death on Wikipedia, it will tell you how they died. So it's always revealed. However, his autopsy was placed on a security hold.
Just to push back on that.
Sure, of course.
Sure, it could be on a security hold for whatever reason. But if you look at the picture of the car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's demolished. It's completely destroyed and on fire. I'm not sure how much could really be revealed from an autopsy. To me, it looks like he could have burned to death in that. And maybe it's just wrapped around privacy.
Sure.
He's a celebrity. Maybe they have special ways in which they can protect the...
So some of the Paul Walker's fans noticed, because they were studying this footage, the car wreck and what have you. And this is probably the biggest piece of evidence that, at the very least, the crash seems odd. So you do have from the beginning... a Lieutenant Fred Corral, he's the one that actually said to the public, this case has been placed on security hold. No information is to be released on either descendant at this time.
That's probably for the investigation.
But what an interesting term. I've just never heard those terms. I think the term security hold it just makes it sound, ooh, security hold? What is that? Like, he should have said, until we get more information, we're not revealing anything at this time. But I think the term security hold sent everyone to a tizzy.
Exactly. And like I've said before, it's the narrative that comes out. It's vague and then lets people start connecting their own dots and conclusions as to what has happened or why it's happened.
But here's something interesting, though. This is the most compelling piece of evidence that something's going on here, whatever that is, again, the narrative. The number plate found in the wreckage of Paul Walker's car crash was different to the one that the car is pictured with Paul before the crash. Well,
Is it the license plate? Is what they're saying?
yeah, well,
License plate?
the plate is different. So I guess there was a pre-car crash photo with Paul with the car, and a post one, and the plates are different.
What would be interesting to see is how damaged the plate was after, and how clear that picture of the plate is on the car. And the car being a different color, I think the car was on fire.
Yeah.
The color of the car paint would probably change under extreme heat. I'm looking at this one particular picture that you have on the screen here. That car is wrecked. You know, somebody's taking a picture of a plate that's twisted. The letters might not look the same. The numbers might not look the same, depending on the angle and the twist of the plate. Whoever was in that car, if there was anybody in that car, they did not survive.
And he was with a pro racer named Roger Rodas. Rodas. I don't know. Sorry. Roger Rodas. What's Roger's story? You know what I mean? Like if Paul's alive, but Roger's walking around, or Roger's dead. If one's dead, they're both dead in that crash there. Now, okay, Steve Jobs, Jason. You ever heard of him?
Right. Oh, yeah. A couple times. The father of Apple died in 2011, but some people refuse to believe that the turtleneck tech giant is really gone. One theory is that Jobs faked his death because he disagreed with where the company was headed. Another says he faked his death so he could retire and live in Egypt. Apparently, he was interested in ancient Egyptian culture and visited the country frequently. Some people believe that he even has a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. So what's the proof? There's a photo making the rounds on the internet that shows a man in Egypt drinking coffee that kind of looks like him. So yeah, let's take a look at this Steve Jobs picture. To retire, I don't think Steve Jobs needs to fake his death to be able to retire. I mean, he left Apple once before. Okay, that guy doesn't look like Steve Jobs.
That's the picture.
Wow.
An Egyptian that looks like Steve Jobs. It's hard to say.
The other thing, though, about this is it's hard to date that picture. Could that be Steve Jobs from a trip to Egypt? And then it's just like leaked 5 years later after his death or whatever?
Yeah, it's very, very convincing picture, but interesting. There it is.
But there's no way he's walking around, I mean,
I know,
in Egypt without security, hanging out at a table in this like patio chair. Yeah, a doppelganger. That's my guess.
I think what this is, honestly, is a doppelganger. And someone took a picture, literally, and said, this guy looks like Steve Jobs. And they took it on the sly of this guy while they're at another table. And they're just having a heyday with this on Reddit.
Yeah.
Because there's doppelgangers for everyone. And the more famous, I've seen doppelgangers of people. I've seen doppelgangers of people I know just in my own family, let alone a celebrity. Right?
Our dad
has like 10 to 12 that we both have seen. Like, it's insane. Dad has more than anyone I know.
I was at a grocery store and I was upset. They were coming in from out of town and didn't say anything because I swore that was my dad in the lineup in front of me. And I had to stare at him for like the whole checkout. I'm like, this.
Why isn't Dad saying hi to me?
It was so weird. I was like, how come they came and didn't say hi?
Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this one because I want to push the episode that I did. We did a whole episode on Jeff Epstein shortly after his quote-unquote death/suicide. Again, I believe Jeffrey is dead, but we've all heard the phrase, Epstein didn't kill himself. Half the world thinks he was killed by the Clinton or other powerful people that he might have named after his arrest. There's now some people that think he might still be alive, which is a little bit less common than he didn't kill himself.
Actually, right after it happened, there was people who indicated that they used the death as a way for him to escape jail. Some of the pictures of him on the gurney on the way out suggest that.
Yeah, you see that picture of the gurney? Does it? It's so weird. This one has the most evidence of something's going. At the end of the day, this is all insane. You talk about cameras not working, everything. Like, I don't want to spoil. Again, go check it. We really covered this quite well. I think we did a good job covering the Epstein case and his quote unquote death or suicide. I know the proof leading to that, but I'll just say like everything, the security guards being the way they were, the cameras not working. It's just a whole, he didn't have anything in his room that he should have been able to hang himself with, or where he did hang himself. He didn't have enough real estate to even do it. There wasn't he wouldn't be able to, like it was physically impossible to do the damage he did but even if the autopsies are true, the neck broke in such a manner that he wouldn't have been able to do it the way it did it. Like it's just, anyways, go listen to that episode on this feed. It's really good.
Well, what's interesting is we have all heard about the cameras not working, the cameras not working, the cameras aren't working. And then William Barr, who was the Attorney General, I believe, at the time, he just came out with a book. And he said that he saw video proof that Epstein did commit suicide. I thought we went the whole last few years saying that the cameras weren't working, and all of a sudden William Barr comes out with a book,
right,
to dispel, and just kind of nonchalantly saying, "Oh yeah, I saw the video evidence, and there's no doubt that he killed himself."
So which one is it? I don't even know anymore.
So
both can't be right.
Are we all pretending that we were saying the cameras didn't work? And I think he even seen him at the very beginning saying that stuff seems suspicious. At any rate,
both can't be true.
No.
So what's okay?
And I think he's contradicted himself under the same circumstances. Interesting one. Marilyn Monroe, one of the most popular sex symbols in modern history. So it's no wonder that fans don't want to believe that she died in 1962. Some conspiracy theories believe that she was killed by the government because of her affairs with JFK and his brother Robert Kennedy. Others think she faked her own death and is living under a new identity because she knew too many state secrets. With a number of organizations that wanted her dead to cover up secrets, it isn't likely that she is alive. But there are pictures of Monroe after her death that have been circulated online. Author John Baker claims she's in a Canadian mental institution. Oh, wow. I haven't heard that before.
This one's actually interesting because the truth is she did sleep with JFK and the brother. That's weird. But pretty standard to understand that she had an affair with President Kennedy. Apparently, it's true. She knew stuff that she wasn't supposed to know. And to say offing her back in the 60s too, back before cell phones, cameras, CCTV camera, all the stuff that... It's actually funny just how easy it was even just 60 years ago. Okay, she's trouble. She's trouble for the government. Let's just get rid of her. And they gave her another medical cocktail. And I kind of lean towards that she was killed. I really do.
I agree, actually. I'm sure she did use drugs. I don't think that's a secret.
Yeah, well, Hollywood is kind of I would say it's like, oh, what? An actress does... Yeah, but I don't think she was like a meth addict. You know what I mean? But I think it was a medical cocktail, right?
I think she was concerned. Sure. And then, JFK being killed later for whatever reasons. He was killed later. And of course,
we have to retitle this episode. And I hate to do it's. I think it's just going to be 10 celebrity deaths. The headline narrative isn't true, and so we'll say which one is. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like
which narrative is most correct or most likely?
Which one's the most true, because then that would be the worst, because the rest are fun conspiracies. So which one is the most true, ironically, which is the worst which one is the worst conspiracy, thus which one's the most true death.
Or you can do the opposite, which is
we could do both. We can just do both. This is a tough one. It's because it's the double negative. That's we do that sometimes with our show. Hey, look, this show is not an exact science. It's just an idea to have fun and talk about things.
Obviously, we didn't rehearse.
Well, that's a good thing. We don't rehearse, but
no, we don't.
Which shows that we don't have our picks, is what I'm saying too. Before we start recording, but I'll just say, I like the idea. This is just a tough one because I know these are fun. So these are top conspiracies that are fun to talk about. We could say, hey, which one's the most likely to be true, and which one's the most insane. There you go. Which one is Because this last one makes my point: is Osama bin Laden in general is a gong show of a person, because it goes from like, is he even real? Like, is he? Because there's conspiracies out there that claim he didn't exist before 9/11. It's insane that he as a person actually doesn't even exist. It's a character created for 9/11. That's just one conspiracy right there. And then let's just assume he is real. That they always knew where he was. He was never hard to find, number 2. And then number 3, and this is the big conspiracy, is that this Navy SEAL Team 6, they never killed him. And the whole narrative of him dying is actually quite fascinating, because people think that the raid and the death was fake to boost President Obama's approval rating. Because you do see that picture where they're all watching it go down.
I know.
That is, I'm sorry, that does look like a photo op. It doesn't look real. Like you got 6 to 8 people around a... Like, okay, all right, here we go, guys. All right, let's get him. What is going on in that picture? Is that really them watching this go down? Really? Or are they watching the Super Bowl highlights? Like, which one? Like, what? Why would that photo be taken and released? Think about that.
I can't imagine there being a photographer during a raid going, okay, guys, he's got his own finger on the camera trigger, just waiting for the reaction. What if somehow all the SEAL 6 got killed? Would he take the pictures of them all, their hands and their head in the hands or whatever?
Here it is. Okay.
Yeah,
they're all watching. You got this one. Is that Hillary with her hand over her mouth?
Yes.
That's Biden there. You got Biden and Obama. Oh, they got a pixelated picture. Oh, this looks staged to me. I don't know why this looks staged to me. Look at Hillary. Oh, this is going down. I can't believe this is
and then there's that general or whatever. He's on his laptop. I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm busy.
Look at me medals he's got
somebody.
On his chest there. Come on, settle down. Look at this.
Who is she?
Yeah, who's this lady back here? I can't. Hey, move to the left. I can't see. So they're watching what looks like.
To be honest, who is the most believable in this picture? Is Joe Biden. He looks the most believable.
But why is Hillary shocked looking like that? What is that? What's that all about?
I guess she's never seen somebody that she participated in killing before. Oh, so this is what it looks like when I kill people.
Oh, it tells us who everyone is.
Oh, okay, here you go. Okay.
So that woman we're talking about, that is Audrey Thomason. She's the director for counterterrorism for the National Security Council. How? She's like 40. I don't know. It's always amazing to me how some of these positions these people hold. Anyways, okay, there you go. If that picture's real, it's real. I don't know why it looks staged, but who's the photographer behind this? And they authorized this photo being released, which I find odd. I'm always amazed because I work in the military, and it's amazing what we don't allow. Like I'm in the institution and what we aren't allowed to say or do. You know what I mean? Like I'm a nobody. I'm nobody on the world stage, and how much we don't say or do. And I'm just always amazed about how much like they've released. Like why would the U.S. government release this photo? It's an odd thing to release.
It is, because how hard do you have to validate the fact that Obama was killed? Right. I mean, sorry,
oh, Freudian slip. Oh boy, there we go.
Sorry.
Did you get President Obama's name mixed up with a terrorist name? That's weird.
So that was a slip.
I know.
How hard do they have to validate that Bin Laden was killed?
You know how they got rid of the body, right? They just dumped it.
They just dumped him over in the ocean because they didn't want him to have a grave that people would go in, like a shrine.
Why?
What a silly response.
It seems odd. Let's just dump him in the ocean. It's all odd. And then apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, it even goes deeper than this. I think everyone on that SEAL team is dead. Or close to it.
I think the shooter's alive. I've seen him on TV.
Right. But isn't that, why are so many, I granted their job is dangerous, I know, but it just seems odd. Again, the narrative maybe, but why is these guys are trained whatevers, but the whole team is, the dead can't talk, as they say. That's the mob, right? The dead can't talk.
Exactly. Well, that's why Marilyn Monroe was killed.
Yeah, the dead can't talk. All right, well, there you go, guys. Let's go over the names again. These are 10 famous people that will say there are conspiracy theories that surround their deaths. There you go. That's the easiest way. Okay. Michael Jackson, Princess Diana, JFK Jr., Elvis Presley, Tupac Shakur, Paul Walker, Steve Jobs, Jeffrey Epstein, Marilyn Monroe, and of course, Osama bin Obama, Osama bin Laden. All right. So, Jason, let's ask you first. We'll start. Which one of these conspiracy theories about the deaths do you think is the most ridiculous? Yeah, which one's the most ridiculous? For example, which one do you think is the most likely to be what the headline says? And I'll go with Elvis Presley, meaning I think he died in the bathroom. He died on the throne. The king died on the throne. It's a drug overdose. I think even if people saw a wax figure or the tombstone, that's just a narrative. Those things are true. Maybe those things, we know the tombstone's spelled incorrectly. That kind of stuff. But I think he just died when he died. It's just people didn't want to see him go. I don't think he's ever been alive since 1977. So,
okay.
Yeah.
My pick is going to be JFK Jr.
Okay. So you believe the same thing. You believe he just died in a plane crash?
Yeah, I think he died in a plane crash. I don't think they would have taken the sister-in-law with them into hiding. I think the fact that I don't think she would have been involved in their desire to escape public eye or whatever. I think he died, his wife died, and his wife's sister died.
Okay. So there you go. So I think we've made our picks for worse. I think at the end of the day, that it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, that death seems the most real to me.
Yeah, it's a hard one to narrate. If that is so, I think by picking our picks, we made our point. Okay, so those are the worst of the conspiracy theories. So which one though do you think is kind of
the strongest?
Yeah, which one do you think is
alive?
Well, not just maybe alive, but also. So this is maybe the best conspiracy. So this is just for fun, Jay. This is just for fun.
Yeah. So who do I think is plausibly alive?
And or their headline is like the headline we read on CNN is like, no, there's more going on here. We did a whole episode on it. I think it's Jeffrey Epstein. I think there's so much.
Yeah,
going on.
I agree. I'm just like, after just talking about Osama bin Laden there, that's a close second.
That's a close second. Yeah, there's something going on there too.
Do I think he's alive?
I don't know if he's real. I don't even know if he was real.
I don't know how strong the narrative of what we've been told about him is correct.
Yeah.
It's like the boogeyman.
Yes.
They created a boogeyman. Maybe he was a real boogeyman. I don't know. But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, I think there's something closer to home and something more recent. There's something fishy about that whole story for sure.
Absolutely. And again, I can't recommend enough. I know I did the episode, but go check out the Epstein episode. We really did a good job, I think, dissecting that. I think that's the most believable theory, the one that even reputable news sources stuff, like, I don't know, something going on here. This is one where that's why the whole world has, put it this way, yeah, nobody thinks you're crazy by saying that he didn't kill himself. That's how strong.
And if he's dead, which is very likely.
We're very likely he's dead, but the idea that he didn't kill himself.
The story of how he died is
insane.
Yeah.
That's fun. All right. Well, this has been fun. As always, conspiracy episodes are fun. I know we'll do more in the future. Yeah. So there you go, Jay. Remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today, for Ryan, it was Elvis Presley's death being the most true. And for Jason, it was JFK Jr.'s death being the most true. Thus, the worst of these best conspiracy theories. There you go. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Gamma Gator Productions.